Well, here's the exploded kite, and a viewer of the YouTube channel had asked about how do you salvage the parts and what parts are salvageable in a kite like this that's been damaged. And that's a good question, and something I've never really talked about on YouTube. In some instances, a kite like this can be repaired by using tape and rejoining where the damage occurred. In this case, a big section has disappeared, so that'll never work on this kite. And when you do use tape to repair a damaged kite, you will change to some degree the balance of the kite and its behavior in the air, because where you tape it, no matter what kind of tape you use, that part of the kite will be a little bit stiffer than all the rest of the sail, and that could influence the way it behaves when you're flying it. But let's say, like this one, I cannot repair it. What would I want to salvage, and how would I go about it? Well, first, I used a carbon fiber spine, and when I made this spine, I put a tension line on it here so that I could change the amount of bend in the spine. And when I made it, the way I did it was I used my Dremel tool and drilled small holes into the carbon fiber, 1 millimeter by 4 millimeter wide carbon fiber spine. I did it here near the wingtip line and at the nose, and then tied the tension line on it. And so it would be nice if I'm going to remake this kite to use the same spine and really the same bow and possibly the same battens. Now, I have recently been a real fan of this glue. This stuff sticks really well to almost any synthetic material, well, any that I have used, and has not failed once. And I've had some, like this, nasty crashes, and yet the sail, where it's bonded to the bow right here, and there's no hem here, I just put the glue on the bow and laid it down and let it dry onto the sail. There's no hem on it, and yet it didn't get damaged. That wasn't the weak part. This is a little plastic bottle I fill up with acetone. Acetone you can buy at almost any store that sells paint. It's the main ingredient in fingernail polish remover, and has a nasty smell, and you don't want to get it soaked into your skin if you can avoid it, just like any chemical like that. But because I use this glue and it sticks so well, I've never attempted to try to get it to come off of the sail. So I'm going to try it here using acetone. Now, the reason I chose acetone to use is because when I used contact cement, weldwood contact cement, which is what I used for most of my kite making in the past, acetone will melt it enough to allow the parts to come apart and be reused. It's also a good thing to use to clean off the old parts of the glue that stay behind on the part you want to salvage. So if I'm going to salvage this batten right here, for example, I'm just going to put a little bit of this along the batten line and let it soak in and run up and down. And then I'm just going to, yeah, it does. It releases it from this glue also. So now I have a batten that's saved. And you might be able to see it or maybe not, but there is a little bit of glue stuck to this, and I'll wipe that off with a piece of paper towel soaked in this acetone. So that's how I would do that. Now, on the spine, I want to cut the line I have here for my bridle on the lower part of the bridle. I want to cut the line that I've used to tie the bow to the spine. And then I'm going to cut the tape that I used on the nose. Now, I'm probably not cutting this all the way through, but I just want to weaken it enough so that I can pull it apart when the time comes, which will be very soon. I'm going to use, now on this spine, what I did is I used a double-sided tape that I applied to the back side and then just peeled off the paper and stuck it to the sail. Very quick and easy. And I've never tried to remove it using acetone, but I will here do just what we did with the batten. Just let it run under and around it. And then after a little while, it doesn't take very long for this to work, then it will release from the sail. Even double-sided tape. And where it's still sticking, like here, I'll just add a little more acetone. And we get to the nose here, there, it came right off. Now, the tension line is over the bow, so I'm going to have to remove the bow, and I'll do it the same way. I'll cut the tape at the wingtip and at the point right here where the nose leading edge meets the bow, where I always put tape because it's a weak place and could easily get damaged. Split the sail right there. It happens very frequently if you don't tape it. And I'll cut that tape, and I'll just use the same idea here. Use my acetone and run it along the part of the bow that's glued to the sail, and then try and remove it. Not too difficult, and do the same on the other side. So now I have really the ability to make another kite with only having to replace the material of the sail and the bridle, and that's really about it. I'll cut the bridle off here. So here I have the bow, I have the spine, which sort of got restuck a little bit, and I'll take the rest of the battens off. And in this case, where I used a carbon fiber spine and have already got the tension line on it, it's going to save me an awful lot of time and effort when I rebuild my kite to use the same spine using the same kite pattern with different sail material. So it's a time saver, and so is this really. I call these stops. This is where the bridle slides up and stops against here when you're using the kite. I don't glue the bridle connections to the bow here. Most fighter kite makers do, but I don't. I like to have the bow and the bridle be independent so that they can move with each other as the angle of attack of the kite changes, and it changes all the time. So I'm not sure that's a good idea. It's just something I do, and it's worked pretty well so far for me. So these can, by salvaging the parts, you're saving yourself not only money but time, and you've already got them pre-cut. You've already got them, in this case, tension line on it. Now, if this were bamboo, where I spent time shaping the bamboo and getting it just right, removing it is the same benefit. It eliminates the need to redo that when I remake the kite, which I plan to do soon.